All right, guys. This video is supposed to be about the new DJI 75mm lens, but I use this whole sponsored video as an excuse to make something cool. Okay, go ahead. Action.
I feel like we're in a movie. Like when you sit down in a theater, all your worries just go away, and then BAM! This time, the lights never come back on. Maybe this time, after that car drives off into the sunset, those warm beams of light will keep bouncing off that silver screen and never end. Or maybe if it doesn't, we'll be just fine, and no one will ever know. We could walk out of that theater right now, and BAM! We can make it real. It just doesn't ever have to end. Maybe we're in a movie. Maybe it doesn't have to end.
De sheriffs de San Bernardino está buscando a dos mujeres sospechosas buscadas de asesinato, visto por última vez a un Mercedes de años 70.
On top of talking about the 75mm, I also want to talk about the 4D again, one of my favorite cameras for one specific reason that falls into other specific reasons. The DJI 4D has easily become my one and done camera when it comes to the type of productions that we just did. Every time I end up using this camera, I start yelling out, "Love it, it's so fucking cool. F yeah, this is so effing good. This looks like a Hollywood production." That's why I always end up saying, because the quality coming out of the DJI 4D plus the wireless system and fourth axis is just, this thing's a powerhouse, and I still think it's an underrated camera. But anyways, let's go over the 75mm real quick, and then I will ramble on about why I love this camera so much. You can see how freaking sick this is. Again, trying to do this with a gimbal and like a super telephoto, it's just, you're not gonna get results as smooth as this. This is wild. And we're doing this all at f1.8. The new DJI 75mm, it's an f1.8 full frame lens. I was kind of blown away by this because while it is super clean and kind of clinical at times, when you're wide open, it has a lot of beautiful character to it. And not the type of character where like you might call it, if you're talking about anamorphics, character tend to be defects, but defects that are kind of pleasing to the eye. On here, I think this is like a really high quality lens, but when you're wide open, it does something beautiful to the highlights where there's almost like a, I don't want to say diffusion, but like the way the highlights roll off, there's just, it's really beautiful. And the flares on it as well, they kind of has like this vintagey type flare to it, while again, being of like modern high-end quality. So obviously if a job came up or if there's any like specific deliverables I had to do that were spherical, I would happily use this. All of us on set were like, oh, this lens actually like looks really freaking good. Pretty much for that whole shoot, we used the 75mm. DJI did loan me a 24mm and a 35mm. The only times we use these lenses though is one when the girls were entering the convenience store, and then when I was in the back seat with them. But the rest of it was pretty much all the 75mm because it was just working out so freaking great, especially for roller shots. I know a lot of people like going wider for roller shots. Personally, I like going a little bit tighter because it compresses everything. It makes it look like we're going even faster. But we were flaring this lens out a lot, and the flare never once like ruined the image. It only helped the image. That's kind of like what you're chasing when you see flares. If it's just really just being distracting and kind of killing your image and killing the contrast, you know, that's the type of flare that I usually don't like. I like more of the flare that's kind of adding to the story, I guess you could say. This lens is extremely light. I've never touched a lens that's over 50 millimeters. F1.8 full frame, that's this small. Like, this thing's crazy how compact it is. On the outside here, you can see there's actually a bunch of carbon fiber on here. So that's one of the main ways that they keep these lenses so light. This will balance on all your Inspire drones as well. But yeah, just to wrap up the lens portion, there's only so much I can say about this. Again, it's modern quality, it's insanely light, f1.8 full frame. But again, while it is super clean and modern and almost clinical, it still has some like really nice character when you're wide open on it. And I actually love it. And I was shocked because, again, you guys know I love my anamorphic because I like extra character. So yeah, I was actually really pleased with this lens. Now the 4D, we're starting to see more Hollywood productions utilize this camera. It's just DJI just really thought this thing out. Between having like built-in wireless, if you get the wireless transmitter built in, and then you have the DJI wireless monitor with the control grips, you could control the head, you could control the focus while monitoring on it. Just the built-in monitor that comes, like that aspect alone, like having a camera where the UI matches and you could control this camera from the monitor. So Sam's our operator. Sam's like the GOAT when it comes to operating the 4D. He's owned one. He's used one for all his professional jobs. And usually when it comes to projects like this, I'm like, Sam, where are you at? Let's run this. Camera action, models action. There we go. I'll put a link down to his channel in the description down below as well. And also my homie Luis. Luis is an amazing DIT and AC, and he has a lot of experience. He also owns one as well. And so we're all just like this little 4D obsessed crew, and we call it the Bird. If you ever hear us rambling about saying the Bird, we're talking about the 4D. Just besides having the fourth axis, overall the usability of the interface plus them thinking about the team aspects of it with the whole wireless setup. Everything's just like the way the engineers plan this camera out. It's just, they're thinking about, you know, the filmmakers like me and all the way up to like the Hollywood type people. So yeah, that's all I really want to say about this. That's pretty much it for this video. I hope the focus held the whole time on this thing. But yeah, that's it. Peace.